Hi, my name is Marshall Miller, and I'm a financial coach. And today is day number 2 of my little series that I have going here to talk about where do you start with your financial plan, or where do you start with your finances. And today I want to talk about the emergency plan. Emergency plan is something that you have in place that protects you, obviously, in a time of emergency. If something happens, the water heater craps out, or the furnace goes down, or you need tires on your car. It could be anything. And so an emergency fund is there to cover those costs that are unexpected, that happens in life. Life happens. And so to get to the emergency fund, you need roughly 3 to 6 months worth of expenses, or enough cash to cover 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. And that's so that if you become disabled, you have enough time to get back on your feet. You can then get back to work, start bringing in that income to cover those expenses. Or if you become unemployed, that 3 to 6 months buffer will help you get another job that you can then continue paying and covering those expenses. So to find out what that 3 to 6 months number is, you need to create a budget. I had one client that she hated that. She's like, the B word, I hate that friggin' stinking budget. But the budget helps you understand where you're at and what is it that you actually spend. And throughout the year, your expenses change. They go up and down. In the holidays, you may spend more. Maybe in the summer months, going on vacation, you spend more. But what the budget does is help you plan and control your spending. So what you have to do the budget is create a plan. And I can talk to you about that in that you look at what is, and I kind of break it up into 4 steps. What is your past expense, or your actual spending, or your historical? What is your historical spending? What is your actual spending for that month or year or week, or however you break down your plan? And then you look at tracking it throughout the month, and then you can do a comparison. What is the difference? Are you overspending in one area, or not spending where you could save? And so setting that up, don't overcomplicate it. Create a plan that can be broken down into maybe 10 or 12 categories. And some of the categories that I have that I use to introduce my clients just starting out. And you can get all crazy. There's software out there, Quicken and others, that will break it down into 100 different categories. But for right now, just start out with some basics. And those would be food, utilities, your housing, transportation, insurance, household items, debt, retirement, personal and entertainment, savings, charity, and then always there's the other miscellaneous category. So with those items, you can pretty much group all of your expenses into that. And what I recommend my clients do is look at your bank statement and credit card statement for the last month. If you can do it for the last year, that's even better. But over the last month, what has been your expenses? And be nitty gritty, get everything. Like if you go to coffee shop and get a drink, or you go to a convenience store and buy some gum, I mean, everything adds up. And so you need to put those into each one of the categories so that you can see what has been your historical spending. Once you have your historical spending, then you can do the actual budgeting and saying, okay, I want to spend this in this category, or well, I'd like to spend nothing, but or spend everything but not worry about anything. No, we have to put items in categories and say, okay, I expect to spend so much in my utilities, or this much on my housing, or this much for food. And then once you've got that done, you've looked at your historical, you've got your budget, then the actual tracking throughout the month or year or week or however you break it up, you actually track it and put it into each of those categories and follow it. Ask for receipts. A lot of people are like, I don't want a receipt. Take your receipts, and at the end of every day, write it down in a ledger or on a spreadsheet or somewhere that you can track this, so that at the end of the month you can go, okay, what was it that I budgeted compared to what I spent? What was my actual? And then you can see what the difference is. And then the next month you take that actual spending and create a new budget. And by doing that, you'll be able to see where maybe you are overspending. Wow, I eat out a lot. And so that you can cut back or adjust some of those categories and put money from one into savings so that you can grow that emergency fund. Again, start out with something small. maybe $500. If you've never had an emergency fund, start small and take $100 a week and put it into your savings, or every paycheck have a certain amount be directly deposited into your checking and a portion into your savings, so that you can start building that emergency fund. Then as you get moving along through the various steps, then you can add more. You start putting money towards the debt, and we'll talk about that. But right now I want to start with the emergency fund and why that's important, and then the purpose of the budget. There are many of budgets that you can pull online. I have a budget that I use when I get in with my clients and we go deeper. But for right now, just these basic topics, these basic categories: food, utilities, housing, transportation, insurance, household items, debt, retirement, personal and entertainment, charity, savings, and then miscellaneous. Don't use that miscellaneous category too much, but it's there because there's some oddball things that don't really naturally fall into a category. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. If there's topics that you'd like me to cover, also leave those down below so that I can follow up with you. Anyhow, stay awesome. See you next time.